Hey guys, welcome into the Stinkin Truth Podcast. Mark Schlereth alongside my host, Mike Evans. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for making us a part of your day, of your week. We appreciate that. They appreciate you subscribing and all those things. Mike, how are you, buddy?
I'm good. Never boring, right? Never boring in the NFL. There's always something going on. And drama with the New York Jets and Aaron Rodgers, who did not show up for mandatory minicamp.
Right.
He's subject to $100,000 in fines. Robert Saleh came out and said, no, he approached me before the OTAs and said that there was an event that I was going to have to attend. Colin Cowherd, your buddy over at Fox, says, event? He's on vacation.
That is an event. It's a vacation event.
So what do you make of all this?
Well, I mean, I don't know if it is. It's probably an excused absence. If Aaron Rodgers went to Robert Saleh and talked about it, there's no way. I mean, first off, come on, the Jets don't have the balls to fine him, right? They're not going to fine Aaron Rodgers $100,000. Everything they're banking on is banking on Aaron Rodgers coming back and playing exceptionally well and being their quarterback that leads them to the promised land. I mean, this is the Jets. I mean, think about the way the NFL has treated it. They front-loaded the front end of the schedule with, 5 or 6 primetime games for the Jets? Like, everybody's counting on the Jets. So what are the Jets going to do? I'll tell you what they're going to do. The Jets will do absolutely nothing. And what they do every year. They haven't won a Super Bowl since, 69 or something? In the 60s. It was in the 60s, right? With Joe Willie Namath? Yeah. So what are they going to do? They're not going to do anything. It's like it will be an excused absence. Everybody's fine. Nothing to see here because what we've done is banked 100% of our franchise on the fact that we believe Aaron Rodgers at 40 years old is going to play great and give us a chance.
But you've got to know Aaron over the years. Does he strike you as the kind of guy? Because he's always said, "Hey, whatever I may be doing outside of my life, whenever I get into football, it's about football."
Yeah.
And does Aaron want to be perceived in his own locker room as a guy who lives above the rules?
No, I don't think Aaron. I don't think Aaron is. Well, I know Aaron's not that way at all. Now, so I would have to assume that this was something that was like something that was big in his life, whatever. And now you can sit there and say, we can parse that out. Is it a family thing? Is it, an ayahuasca convention? What's the importance? What's the value of that thing? But I would say that there was definitely communication between he and Saleh, and there was something that was very important to him. And listen, man, the future, the success of the Jets, without question, rests on the shoulders of Aaron Rodgers. And now for me, just the way I'm wired, I'm not missing anything that's mandatory. I'm not missing anything that's voluntary. I'm just not missing. And there is a certain aspect of that would, as a player, would bother me. But everybody has banked on Aaron, and we saw what happened to the Jets with that stellar defense last year. Mm-hmm. We saw what happened when they became, after 4 plays, Aaron Rodgerless. I mean, they're rudderless on offense that way. So everything's banked on that. I'm not excusing it. I'm not saying that I would do it. I'm not saying that, he should cancel his trip or at least reschedule his trip or whatever.
But can we all agree it's a bad look?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, come on, I would think you knew when your mandatory minicamp was, I would imagine. But again, if this is one of those things that can't be rescheduled or you can't, it's come up, what are you going to do?
Yeah, but you've been a football player for the last 20 years. You know the schedule.
Right.
You know the summer schedule.
Yeah, and it was laid out.
This kind of stuff shouldn't sneak up on you.
So let's say in January, this important event was scheduled for this. Okay, let's say it's the marriage of your favorite nephew, okay? And this nephew is really, really important to you, and you're in the wedding as part of the wedding party because you've raised this kid up or helped raise this kid up, whatever. I'm just making a, hypothetical here, okay? And you knew that in January. You didn't know what the schedule, when the minicamp would fall. There used to be, there was a time when you knew exactly. It was always during the same weekend. When I was playing, it was always during the same weekend of the Kentucky Derby.
Okay.
So, the Kentucky Derby was on. That was Saturday minicamp. And we'd all huddle around a TV set, between practices, back when you actually practiced and did things. And then we'd watch it, and then, we'd go about our business and go back out to the football field. But, there could be a situation where he was unaware of, didn't have the schedule of when the mini camp would be. Could you see that? That's a possibility? It certainly is.
I'm a little bit dubious about all of that. I look at these OTAs, I look at what they're doing during the summer, especially for a veteran player. It's useless. I just don't see how there's any value for it. But when you're the quarterback and you only played 4 plays last year and so much is based around you and coming back from an injury, I would think you'd want as many reps as you could get.
Oh, I would imagine he does. I would imagine he wants all that stuff. But I also, if you've got something on your schedule that's really important to you, and it's a once in a lifetime event, and you've been through 18 mini camps, and mandatory mini camps. I get that. I get the life aspect of it as well. And I will say this: I think that Rodgers is connected to his teammates, has done a great job of fostering relationship with his teammates. I don't think anybody in that locker room is looking at him like, look at this prima donna taking time off. So I don't think that's. I would be hard pressed to say. I would be very surprised if there's anybody within that locker room that would look at him and go, "Oh, wow, he's just a prima donna."
Okay, so look right into that camera over there and tell Jets fans that they don't need to be worried about Aaron Rodgers once the season starts. Can you do that?
Yeah, oh yeah. I can. Jets fans, you don't need to worry about Aaron Rodgers once the season starts. Now, the guy calling plays or some of the other things that are going on, that's where you should put your worry too. There are plenty of things. You're a Jets fan. There's nothing but worry for you. I still look at the AFC in general with a healthy Rodgers, and I think Rodgers will play. I think he'll play really good. Mike, with a healthy Aaron Rodgers and the defense that they have, you can't tell me that they're not going to compete in the AFC East for a championship. They'll be at least competing for a wild card berth. And some of the things that have gone on with the Bills, and have they been weakened, with some of the moves they've made? You can't tell me the Jets aren't going to be competitive if Rodgers is healthy.
If you had to call your shot right now, who wins the AFC East?
The Jets.
Followed by?
Bills, Miami.
Really? So you don't think Miami takes advantage of kind of the opening here,
the fact that they're starting meetings on at 9:24 because it's 24 years since they've won. Are we doing that? That's what we're going to do. I would say is Coach Capri Pants? Is he going to start will Coach Capri Pants start getting the eye rolls from his players?
Will you acknowledge where you got Coach Capri Pants from?
You.
Thank you.
Yes. But you are my intellectual property.
Yeah, but at least the first time you're supposed to give me credit for it.
Well, I've probably given you credit before.
Ah, I see.
See, but now
it's yours.
Now it's just
totally
mine.
yours.
Yeah, this is how it works. Okay. The first time I steal something from you, and it's not even stealing because you are my intellectual property.
Stealing.
It's part of the contract that you signed to be with me. Okay, so the first time I say, let's say I'm talking to Matt, who's running the show back there, okay? The first time I would say, hey, Matt, Mike had called. Who are you a fan of, Matt? Oh, the Broncos. Okay. Let's pretend you're a fan of Miami.
Yeah.
So did you know that Mike calls your head coach, Coach Capri Pants? And then the next guy I bumped into, I would say, hey, Joe, some guy I know calls your coach, Coach Capri Pants. And then the third time I use it, it becomes mine. I've always called him Coach Capri Pants.
That's how
Boom.
it works.
That's how it works.
That's how my intellectual property goes to you.
Yes, that's how it...
Without any fear of repercussions.
Right. That's how it transfers over, and then it's completely mine. But at some point, Mike, all the little quirkiness and all the little, all the little cutie stuff and the starting the meeting 24 after the hour. Eventually, if you're a professional, you're like, really? This is what we're going to do? We're going to play the 24 after the hour game? Give me a freaking break.
I don't know. Tom Coughlin, remember, he would make guys show up 5 minutes before a meeting, and
everybody
they'd have to stand
hated
with
Tom Coughlin.
Well, they won.
Yeah, well, yes, they did.
They did.
That was 5 minutes early. That's not 24 after the hour.
Okay.
It just gets a little bit like that's a little bit.
It's a little eye rolly.
Yeah, it's a little bit cringy. It's a little bit eye rolly, and it gets to the point like, are we going to win because we have gimmicks, or are we going to win because we're better than other people?
You would agree that NFL quarterbacks have to have good judgment, right?
You would think, yeah.
Would Lamar Jackson forfeiting $750,000 of workout bonuses because he didn't want to attend OTAs, would that be a definition of poor judgment by your quarterback?
I would think he's got a $750,000 bonus. I think to hit 80% of his offseason workouts, and I believe he was at 60-some% of them. If I read that right, like, really? So you can just walk away from $750,000? It's just not that big of a deal because why? What'd you have to do? Head to an event with Aaron Rodgers? I mean, I don't get
special event.
Yeah, special event with. I mean, if you're going to go to 62% of them, how much tougher is it to go to 80% of them? What is that? About 4 or 5 more times you got to show up?
Right.
Like, I guess you got it that way. When you sign a $262 million deal or whatever it was, I suppose $750,000 is not that much money, but that's a ton of money, man, to just forfeit. Yeah, that is what you would call a bad judgment call, I think.
Speaking of bad judgment, the Atlanta Falcons have been charged with violating the league's anti-tampering policy,
right?
With Kirk Cousins, Darnell Mooney, and Charlie Warner. Team was also fined $250,000, and GM Terry Fontenot being fined $50,000. Ooh, a 5th-round pick for tampering.
Yeah.
That'll show them.
Yeah, well, it's funny that you say that because I was like, oh, 5th-round pick. Who gives a whoop, right? So then I went, hey, let me look at the 2021 5th-round class, right? Because they've got a couple of years to kind of produce and see what they become. And I started reading some of the names. Luke Farrell, Brevin Jordan, the tight end from the Houston Texans. They're pretty good. Taquan Graham, defensive tackle from Atlanta, played pretty well. Evan McPherson, kicker. Kenneth Gainwell, the running back from the Philadelphia Eagles. Larry Borum, starting tackle for the Chicago Bears. Caden Stearns, now the starting tackle here starting safety in Denver. Like you go back through these, Jalen Moore, offensive tackle for the San Francisco 49ers. Amir Smith-Marset. I'm just going through these names. I'm like, damn, there's a lot of players right now, 3 years after Noah Gray, backup tight end in Kansas City.
So this is a punishment.
Derek Forrest. He's a really good DB for the Washington Commanders. Yeah, I'm just like, this is just right off the bat here, 5th round, there's some damn good players in this 5th round.
So this is a punishment with some teeth.
Diamador Lenore. Really a good DB for San Francisco. Yeah. Because I thought it was, at first I was like, oh, who gives a rip, a 5th rounder? Woo. But there's actually a lot of value there, which leads me to ask you this question. How can there be that much value in the 5th round of the draft and we basically shit our helmets in the 1st round? Nobody can figure out the 1st round. Like if it's 50-50, I'm being kind in the 1st round.
You want my theory?
Yeah.
My theory is in the 1st round, teams get all enamored with somebody's potential. What they could be. Whereas by the 4th and 5th round, you're just looking at guys as football players.
Right. You're not looking at them as athletes. You're not looking at their 40 times and all that. You're looking at you're studying the film.
Right.
You're spending more time on the film of a guy than you are on the individual workouts, and you have him empty his backpack at the meeting you have and see what's in there. Yeah, I would agree with you. I think the 1st round becomes less about the film to a degree and a lot more about athleticism, your 40 times, your workouts, your vertical box jumps, your whatever the stupid drill they have you run, and the 5th round is all about what kind of football player is a guy.
Isn't it funny though that this whole tampering thing is how the NFL. So you used to be you had free agency. Free agency opened, and then you'd have big deals being signed within like 5 minutes of the start of free agency. So clearly, teams and players have been talking before they were supposed to.
Right.
Then they put in that tampering window before the start of free agency. But then what happens there? At the start of this tampering window, free tampering, immediately deals are done.
Right.
So clearly they're being done. So no matter where they put the start of it, teams are already going to be talking to players and working out deals before it officially starts. No matter how you keep trying to move it back.
You can move it right to the end of the season.
Right.
As soon as you're announced, as soon as they're not going to pick up your contract, I mean, agents and organizations are going to talk, kind of quote unquote off the record. I just remember the Bart Scott one. You remember the Bart Scott one when he was with Baltimore and he went to the Jets, I believe. And that's when the coach, Rex Ryan, went to the Jets to become the head coach. And free agency opened up at like midnight or something, and they were in his driveway at 11:55 with a contract. Like, it was something ridiculous like that. Like, of course, you negotiated the deal long before.
Sure.
Yeah. So, yeah, that whole.
But, like, the NFL is shocked.
Right.
I'm shocked that teams are talking with free agents before.
There should be no tampering. There should be no. Yeah. There is no illegal anything.
Right.
It's all going to get done anyhow.
Wild West, right?
Right.
So,
totally agree.
Did you see Tom Brady? Of course you know everything that's going on with Tom Brady. Did you see Tom Brady got number 12, retired at Gillette Stadium at an event here recently?
I thought that was interesting that they didn't do that. Maybe they'll do another ceremony during the regular season. But I was surprised that they didn't do it.
I like the way they did it this way because instead of just having a quick 5-minute thing at halftime and then kickers and punters are coming on the field to warm up and you still got it going on, they made it into an event.
Right.
They had Jay-Z there. They had 35,000, 40,000 fans in attendance, and they were able to just kind of spread out, make a night of it. But during the honoring of Tom Brady, Peyton Manning showed up, which is always cool. Peyton Manning will fly anywhere to be anybody. I mean, he's America's guest.
Yes, he is.
So it was just a great reminder of the rivalry that was Brady and Manning. Great rivalry.
Yeah.
Is there anything close to it today? And if so, who would it be?
That is a great, I think the one, not individual rivalry like that, but the one game that kind of is a can't miss proposition where the teams legitimately have hate for one another is Pittsburgh and Baltimore. That one still seems like, there's not going to be trading of jerseys afterwards. That one still seems like there's just legitimate angst between those two organizations, and Pittsburgh has certainly gotten the better of those matchups. So that one seems like there's real anger and real.
But that's a team.
Yeah,
rivalry.
that's a team.
How about quarterbacks? Is it Allen and Mahomes? Is it Burrow and Mahomes? Is it somebody else?
Well,
it's got to be Mahomes and somebody.
Yeah, I think
does Mahomes not have a rival?
Right. I think it's would you consider Mahomes Allen a rival if Allen can't win any of those games? At least Burrow has won some of those games, right? Burrow has been able
Beat him
to
once.
Okay. But it was in a playoff.
Yes.
Yeah. So, you would think, I don't know, that feels to me to be the greatest kind of quarterback rival, Mahomes and Allen. Well, Mahomes and Allen, they've played a lot more than Mahomes and Burrow, and then Burrow was hurt all last year. But that seems to be the one that.
But if it's going to be a rivalry, you get each team has to get their own success. And Buffalo hasn't had it.
Yeah, you got to. Yeah, at some point Buffalo's got to beat them in the playoffs to advance to a Super Bowl or advance to an AFC Championship game or whatever the case may be. Is there any other quarterback? Is there any other NFC quarterback rivalry? Nothing in the nothing really in the NFC West, right? Because you got Stanford, you got Purdy, but yeah, it doesn't feel like there's any rivalry there. NFC East, is it Jalen Hurts, Dak Prescott? Just doesn't feel. Certainly isn't Daniel Jones or. So I'm trying to think of what other quarterback rivalries.
I don't think there's much right now.
No,
I think it's Mahomes and
Burrow. It'll be
Mahomes
interesting
and
to see
Allen.
what happens. It'll be interesting to see what happens, like in the NFC North, because you got Jared Goff, who, to me is a top 10 type of quarterback in the league, and you got Jordan Love, who played maybe better than any other quarterback from week 10, 12 on last year.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you've got J.J. McCarthy, who you drafted, and then obviously Caleb Williams, who was, this quote-unquote generational talent that the Chicago Bears drafted, who haven't, really developed a quarterback. That, to me, might be the most intriguing quarterback division.
Speaking of quarterbacks, rookie quarterbacks. So teams are done with the OTAs and the minicamps. Sam Darnold will go into Vikings camp as the number one quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Jarrett Stidham looks like he's going to go into Broncos camp as the number one quarterback. So what would be your message to fans of these teams that drafted a first-round quarterback if that quarterback isn't playing right away?
Well, I think it depends. I think the situation for Minnesota is way different than it is for Denver.
How so?
Well, I mean, Minnesota's got an outstanding offensive line that's been together for a long time. Darisaw is an outstanding left tackle. They've got Hawkinson, albeit coming off a injury, but Hawkinson, who's a Pro Bowl type of tight end. Justin Jefferson just signed a huge contract. What's the kid's name? Got a couple other good receivers. Addison, the kid from USC, really good player. They signed the running back from Green Bay, Aaron Jones. Like that's a ready-made offense for success. So I can understand why, hey, we got all these great players. We had Sam Darnold, who's a former first-rounder that did a year of rehab in San Francisco when it comes to learning offense. And by the way, the other interesting aspect of that is Sam Darnold was in that offense under San Francisco, which is the same thing that Kevin O'Connell runs. Mm-hmm. Kevin O'Connell runs that offense, but he just does it out of a different personnel packages, a little bit more three wides than would like Kyle Shanahan run it. But it's the same, it's the same calls. Like the only difference really is like who your F player becomes. So in Kevin O'Connell's offense, the F will be your third wide receiver. In Kyle Shanahan's offense, oftentimes the F is your backup tight end. So but you're running the same formations and you're running a lot of the same plays. One group is doing it out of two tight ends, and one group is doing it out of three wides. But the plays and the verbiage and all that is the same. You're just changing your F player from a personnel standpoint. So that would make a lot of sense that Sam Darnold would become the starter there because they've got a ready-made team and a veteran quarterback. They think they could win that way while they're grooming a young quarterback. For Denver, you're in a rebuild. Like if Bo Nix isn't your starter, then did you miss on Bo Nix? Because everything they said coming out of the draft was, hey, Bo Nix started 61 games. Bo Nix has got a supercomputer as a processor. He's super smart. Bo Nix is incredibly accurate. Bo Nix was the best college red zone quarterback in the nation. Bo Nix had the best completion percentage in the nation. Bo Nix never fumbled while at Oregon. Bo Nix was, just on and on. He comes from he's a football junkie. His dad was a coach. Is that like if Bo Nix does not become your starter from day one, then that's a drastic disappointment in Denver as
Amen. It's
completely different from the situation that's in Minnesota right now.
Yep, because he's supposed to be a ready-made quarterback, ready to go above all these other rookie quarterbacks. Travis Kelce said recently when asked if he has plans to retire at all, he said he's going to keep playing until the wheels come off.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting. You always got to be careful when you're meeting with coaches because they'll throw out statistics that aren't real. You know, they're real in their head, but they're not really real. And it was interesting. I was talking to Matt Nagy about Travis Kelce, and he said a couple things about Travis Kelce that I don't know that they were surprised, Mike, but maybe a pleasant surprise. He's like, one, the guy just he practices. He works and he practices, right? He's not looking for time off. He doesn't miss practice. Two, he goes, from all the tight ends that were drafted in Travis's year, whatever that was, which there can't be many left, but he said the guy's got like 1,000 more plays than any other tight end in football. Like the guy just lines up and plays every weekend, super smart, all those things, but just kept pointing to the work ethic and the way he practices, the way he prepares himself to get ready. And so, you know, I think there's a lot to be said about Travis Kelce and the way he, you know, approaches the game. And one of the reasons that he'll probably play at a really high level like his brother did for all those years. It just is kind of the way they're put together and the fact that they enjoy the practice. They enjoy getting better. They enjoy the work.
I'm glad you brought that up because I think it's so easy, especially with him becoming such a celebrity and the Taylor Swift type stuff. It's easy to forget what makes somebody like a Travis Kelce really tick. And you can't play at this level just rolling in off the street after going to see Tay play in Brazil or something. I mean, you gotta put the work in. You gotta love what you're doing.
Yeah, you love the practice. You love getting better. You love kind of the mental aspect of the game. But, you know, according to Matt Nagy, the guy just does not miss practice. He flat out doesn't. By the way, did you see that they're major investors in this new beer company called Garage Beer?
Garage Beer?
My buddy Trey Wingo has a piece of it. He's got a little bit of a ownership stake in Garage Beer. But Jason and Travis became major owners in Garage Beer.
Is this like a foo-foo beer? You know, like a fruity beer?
No, I think it's garage.
Sour beer? Or is it just beer?
I think it's just a light beer that you drink in your garage after you've you cleaned off your workbench, you mowed the lawn, you trimmed a little bit, maybe you spread some soil or some mulch, and you just need a garage beer.
I like that.
Right?
Because you got to admit, we've gotten kind of crazy with the beers.
Yeah.
Oh, the fruits and the sours and the bitters and the hazy IPA. I mean, just beer. Can I just have a beer?
Just a beer.
Garage beer.
Garage.
I like that.
And it's got a great name to it,
Feel
right?
free to send us a case.
Or 8. Or 10.
I like that.
Yes, garage beer.
I like it.
I do too. All right, for everybody involved in the Stinkin' Truth podcast, we appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for being with us. For Mike, I am Mark. Please subscribe and do all those things you do. All right, man. We'll be back with you guys next week. A couple times next week. We got 2 of them next week. Hey, for everybody involved in the Stinkin' Truth, we thank you so much. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please make sure you don't forget to give us a thumbs up. Subscribe to our channel for more content just like this. If you want to see more of our videos, you can also be sure to check out our playlist. Let us know exactly what you think in the comments below. We appreciate you guys so much for being a part of that.
Don't forget to follow us on social media to stay up to date on our latest updates. Links are in the description. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.